Please clap.
Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports show that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, presented by Bolen Media. I am Ross Bolen, and today I am here to shame all the haters and doubters, the naysayers and non-believers. How dare you? How dare you give up on this Astros team and refuse to believe that they would turn the corner? I've seen you on Twitter bitching and moaning all season long, crying in the Instagram and YouTube comments. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Now, myself, I never doubted. I always knew this team would figure it out, and as I said time and time again, the AL West are not serious people. The Rangers were a flash in the pan. They stink. They're a one-and-done train wreck who can't stop losing and now sit 5 games back of the Astros and 8 games back of the first-place Mariners. The Mariners had a 10-game lead over the Astros. Feels like it was just days ago. Already down to 3 because they are absolutely incapable of running away with the division. We don't even need to talk about the Angels and the Athletics. The AL West is a joke. Baseball season is too ridiculously long. This Astros roster is too talented, too seasoned, and too resilient to simply lay down and die. I said if the Astros took care of business in the month of June, they could find themselves at or above 500 for the first time this season because the schedule was certainly easy enough. And guess what? 17 wins, 8 losses in June. 1-0 so far in July, obviously, as well, with a series opening win against Toronto. So the Astros sit at 43-41, having won 10 of their last 11 games. And they are currently, inarguably, the hottest team in baseball. Who would have thunk it? So this is a team that has been to, as we all know, 7 consecutive American League Championship series. So it shouldn't be that shocking. But frankly, it is that shocking because when you look at all the injuries the Astros have dealt with this season, when you consider the amount of pitchers they have lost to Tommy John surgery for the year and every different type of discomfort known to man for weeks at a time, when you think about how long Jose Abreu, God bless him, haunted this roster as a black hole of unproductivity. When you remember that Kyle Tucker, their best player this season, without argument, one of the best players in baseball right now without argument, missed essentially the entire month of June and continues to be out. It is fairly shocking that the Astros have picked up as much momentum as they have and made up as much ground as they have. So now, we're just over the halfway point through the 162-game regular season. Probably the strangest regular season this team and fan base have experienced in at least a decade, maybe longer. I'm hearing from fans that are like, I've been watching since 1962 and I've never seen anything this weird and inconsistent and unpredictable. But at least in the last decade, like the weirdest regular season. And we've got 78 games still to be played, including tonight's in Toronto. And the Astros are just 3 games back of first place in the division. 3 games back of Kansas City for the final American League wildcard spot as well. So, after all that, if you were one of the pathetic, heartless, weak-minded fans who had folded on the season and expected this team to miss the playoffs, shame on you. Shame on you. Beg whatever God you believe in or Jose Altuve for forgiveness and strap in because this season has just begun. The best way to learn a language? Immersion. Living where the language is spoken and using it every day. But if that's not in the cards this year, you can still learn a language the second best way, and that's with Babel. And wouldn't you know it, today's episode is brought to you by Babel. Be a better you this year with Babel, the science-backed language app that actually works. Don't pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that don't really help you speak the language. Babel's quick 10-minute lessons are handcrafted by over 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Babel's designed by real people for real conversations. Babel's tips and tools are approachable, accessible, rooted in real-life situations, and delivered with conversation-based teaching. So you're ready to practice what you've learned in the real world. Babel's courses are incredibly convenient. I've used them to try and regain my grasp on Spanish, and they make it super easy to learn how to order food, ask for directions, or speak to merchants without having to consult language apps while you're out and about or on vacation or in a foreign land or whatever. Very simple. Very easy to use. Studies from Yale, Michigan State University, and others continue to prove Babel is better. One study found that using Babel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester of college. Babel has over 16 million subscriptions sold, plus all of Babel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee. Here's a special limited time deal just for the can bangers. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/BTC. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/BTC, spelled Babbel, babbel.com/BTC. Rules and restrictions may apply. Now, we need to give a ton of credit where it is due. An absolute mountain of credit to the veteran leadership on this Astros team for keeping the squad focused, for continuing to plug away, ignoring all the noise and the negativity and the media and the fans on social media, taking it game by game and keeping their heads held high, even as challenge after challenge mounted against this team. And perhaps we need to give even more credit to the rookies that have stepped up, like Joey Loperfido, like Spencer Arrighetti, stepping up and contributing like they have to get all this momentum built in the right direction. And Hunter Brown. This is one guy that I did dump on a lot over the course of the first third of the season especially. He just didn't look like he was making any progress, like he had taken any steps in the right direction. He was regressing. He was giving up runs like crazy, especially the first few innings of every single start that he made. He was a mess, Hunter Brown. A mess. Great story out right now on, I believe on The Athletic, by the way, from our boy Chandler, about Hunter Brown and his turnaround, which apparently started with like a vent session with Ryan Presley on one of the flights. And then I think Bregman talking him into adding a sinker, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, like we knew. I said before the season started, like Hunter Brown, I mean, this is obvious. If you're an Astros fan and you follow this team closely, you knew a lot was riding on Hunter Brown, especially once the pitching injuries started to stack up. Like this is a guy we are counting on to grow into his role and become a reliable, second or third starter on this team. And at the beginning of the year, he couldn't have looked more like the opposite was happening. Awful. We knew we needed him to be huge this season. And since adding that sinker, sometimes that's all it takes. It's like you find one extra pitch in your repertoire. And since adding that sinker to his repertoire, he's been absolutely unbelievable. Like ace level shit. Every single outing. He's been knocking my socks off, blowing my mind, pushing my hair back. Salute, Hunter Brown. Salute. Also, Joe Espada. Look, man, that was a rough start to his tenure as manager. And literally with the 4-game sweep by the Yankees to start the year, and then just like an abysmal first few months, and then the injuries, and like many people, not me of course, but many of you had lost faith in Joe, and he just kept doing his thing. Maybe bunting a little too often still, but hey, nobody's perfect. And this team is right back in the mix. So you all owe Joe Espada an apology. Not me, of course, but many of you. Say sorry. So the Astros have this 4-game series that has already started against the Blue Jays in Canada. Won the first game. Then it's on to Minnesota for a 3-game series on the road against the Twins. After that, 3 games at home against Miami, 3 games at home against the lowly Texas Rangers. Then we're back on the road for 3 against the Mariners. That series will obviously be huge. Then 3 on the road in Oakland. We close out the month of July with 3 at home against the Dodgers and 2 at home against the Pirates. Now, the Blue Jays kind of stink. Miami stinks. The Rangers stink. Oakland stinks. So we've got several series in July that are very winnable, giving us even more chances and opportunities to make up ground and grab a hold of this division. And when you're hot like they are right now, winning 10 of their last 11, that's the fucking time to strike while the iron is hot. Get in there, commit murder, make it happen. Do it. So they're just like we had in June. I mean, look, one of the things that was tough to keep at the front of your mind during the first third of the season, like we had the hardest schedule in baseball. We had a brutal start to the season scheduling-wise. And now we're in this position where it's like, oh, look, another shitty team. Oh, look, another shitty team on deck. Like, there's bad teams to be beaten. And we're slowly moving up the standings. Moving on up. Just like in June, July is another month to fucking keep the pedal to the metal. Stack wins against teams that you should be beating. Get series wins. And don't let one game throw you off course. Like in the Mets series, right? We had that one game we dropped. Still won the series. Still took care of business the next game. That's what's so important in baseball. And like it's one of the things that we surely we are learning at this point as fans. After this much success, we've been very, very spoiled. We say it every fucking time I do a show. We're spoiled. We have unrealistic expectations, the Astros fans. We do, and that's okay. That's okay. It's a sign of the times. It's the golden era of Houston Astros baseball. We've won so much that when we start to lose and things go wrong and it looks like the train is going off the tracks, we freak the fuck out a little bit. We freak out. And we got to stop. Because what surely we are grasping by now, baseball is different. This isn't the fucking NFL. Season isn't over in a few months. It goes on and on and on. There are 162 games. 162. It's a long, grueling marathon. And it's not how you start. It's how you finish. It's how you finish. It's how you finish. We gotta be able to remember that. And I'll look, jokes aside, I've struggled with this too. It's not easy, especially when you're as plugged into the social media pipeline as I am for this fucking podcast. With all the negativity out there on the internet, it's not easy to keep your head on straight and stay living in reality instead of negativity land. The season is long as hell. It's so long. And we still have so many games left to be played. So many games. And there will be so many chances in this month, just like the last one, to continue making up ground, overtake the Mariners, grab a hold of this division, and then keep it. Stay at the top for the rest of the season. No more fucking around. We had enough, and I think that's one thing. When we look back on this season, my prediction, and it's kind of a bold one, going out on a limb here, when it's all said and done, I think this 2024 Houston Astros season will be remembered for the adversity the team faced in the first third of the season especially, but really the first half, and how that forged them into the winning team that they became. Because going through an absolutely dog shit schedule and just dealing with so much bad luck in terms of injuries and misfortune in terms of injuries, like, and weird roster turnover and like bringing up rookies and trying to get them plugged into the culture. Like that's what gives you even more chemistry, which as we know in baseball is incredibly important. Chemistry is what built this dynasty. It's not like the Astros always had the highest payroll or always had the most all-stars or always had the home run hitters. Like chemistry is what got us here. And I think, again, kind of a bold statement, but I think that what we went through this first half of the season created even more. It's a tight-knit group, and you have to start to see the positive vibes have been building game after game after game, and it's good things are happening. So we've got this 4-game series against the Blue Jays in Canada. Won the first game. Then it's on to Minnesota for 3 games on the road. So the real challenges are obviously in July against the Mariners and Dodgers, which will be absolutely massive series, which all of us should be tuning in to watch or sitting in the stands to watch, if possible. Hopefully, we get Justin Verlander back soon. Neck discomfort, it's a real problem for this team. Luis Garcia should make his season debut soon. Apparently, rehab has gone spectacularly. He's very, very close. Ronel Blanco is still dealing. Framber needs to continue kind of getting his shit together. He's still very wishy-washy. It's really hard to tell what you're going to get out of Framber Valdez on a game-to-game basis. We need Arrighetti to continue dealing, stepping up, because as we've seen, starting pitching is going to be what will make or break this team. It was a shaky start in the bullpen at the beginning of the year, yes, but really, especially the past month, like Abreu and Presley, we've been fine. Hader, we've been fine. It's fine. We've got enough arms in the bullpen. We're fine. We know what those guys bring to the table when push comes to shove. They're going to shove. Starting pitching is where we really, it's because of all the injuries. Like, we got to have guys step up. Got to have guys like Arrighetti produce. And he started to. Arrighetti's looked better and better game by game. He's getting more and more comfortable out there as a pro. It's huge to see him making those strides. The pitching is going to make or break the team. The offense is there. Is it streaky sometimes? Yeah, that's baseball, okay? We've got the number 1 batting average. We're 7th in on-base percentage, 12th in runs, 5th in home runs, 4th in slugging percentage. The offense is there. The bats are there. And you saw them all fucking June, even without their best one, Kyle Tucker. The offense is there. So after all the pain and suffering and bitching and moaning and hating and doubting, how will this Houston Astros team, how will this Houston Astros season be remembered when it comes down to the wire? Only time will tell. But one thing is for certain, this team is not going to lay down and die, no matter how many people expect them to. Now a short basketball update, I guess, as the NBA draft took place and it was weird as hell, man. There's 2 Frenchmen being drafted at 1 and 2, and then our Houston Rockets took a white guy at number 3. Just bizarre. Bizarre stuff. Reed Shepherd out of Kentucky, sharpshooter. This fella, Reed. I'm kind of excited about this guy, though, frankly. I don't know. It's been a week. Look, I've been very focused on the Astros, admittedly. Very focused on the Astros. And lately, the Euros and the Copa de America. But the NBA, another wild offseason. And kind of a wild one for the Rockets. We re-signed Holiday, which people weren't expecting after we drafted Reed Shepherd. But also, we did all kinds of weird pick trading and swapping with the Nets and the Suns. And it seems like Phoenix was trying to get us to take Kevin Durant. Honestly, no idea what the hell was going on there, what that was about. But no fucking thank you. No way, no how. It looks like the real strategy is that the Rockets are going to run it back with a young core for another season, okay? We added Steven Adams last year. You probably don't remember that because he was hurt and didn't play. Steven Adams plus what we had last year plus Reed Shepherd, right? We've got all these picks still. People were flipping out, Rockets fans online, about why we did this with the picks. It seems like we gave the Nets a break when we shouldn't have, and now we've got this like weird Suns pick. And here's my read. And I'm not, like I said, been focused elsewhere. I'm not totally positive this is the case, and I'm not inside the front office, so I don't actually know. But my read is that they're saying we're going to run it back this year with the young core. We think we're good enough to make a playoff push, and we want to see where the ceiling is for all these guys. And then, if need be, we've got all these picks for like 2027 or whatever, or 2026, and we can kind of go from there. So it's like they pushed back a little bit, pushed the date back on these picks that they have, and then it sounds like the real target, if shit hits the fan in Phoenix, which it looks like it is, will be Devin Booker. That's what it looks like, as somebody who has been paying very not close attention. A couple other things I want to talk about Rockets-wise, though, before we go. Alperen Sengun trade talk continues to be a thing. Windhurst making all kinds of waves on ESPN, talking about how Sengun is on the table, and look, I don't know. It doesn't seem like anybody really knows what's going on there. But here is my take on Alperen Sengun. Trading him would be fucking stupid. I don't know what they're doing with not maxing him out already or extending him or whatever. I don't know. All I do know is that I've watched him for a few years now, and ever since the first game I watched him play, it was very, very evident that he probably had the highest NBA ceiling on the entire team. He's gotten better every single year, minus the injury last year when everybody's, look how good they were with Alperen Sengun out. Maybe we should just trade him. That's not how this works. It's not how any of this works, to quote that stupid fucking commercial. It's like arguing, look how good the Astros were without Kyle Tucker in June. We don't even need Kyle Tucker. We should just trade Kyle Tucker now, since we're probably not going to be able to re-sign him when he wants to go get a 10-year contract or whatever. That's fucking crazy talk. You don't trade your most talented player just because you think things went well when they were injured. And I understand those of you who are like, well, the offense just ran so much more quickly and smoothly without Sengun in there, clogging it up. Maybe. But like I said last season when that was going on, just because you start to see some momentum in the offense and it gets humming, doesn't mean you just abandon the guy that was hurt. It's not like he being out was the actual cause of that. It just means you need to figure out a way to make the offense work better with him in it. Or figure out a way for him to work his way better into the offense that you created when he was out. But you don't just abandon. This is what's so fucking stupid about this to me. Unless you're going to get a dude that literally guarantees you jump into championship contending position, which is not a thing right now. Go look at the landscape of the league and the guys that are on the table and who's available. That player is not out there. So trading Sengun for what? You want to get more draft picks? We already have a lot still. And draft picks are just to try to get the opportunity to maybe end up with a guy that hopefully one day could be as productive as Alperen Sengun. That's what's so... He's 22 years old. I'm going to Google his age just to make sure, because he's 21. What are you doing? No. And if Raphael Stone is listening, which he's not, and is considering this... Stop, because I'm this close to apologizing to Raphael Stone. I kept questioning whether this guy even knew what he was doing. He's like some fucking lawyer they brought in to be the GM of an NBA team. I think he might actually know what he's doing. He's made enough good choices at this point, albeit he's made some shitty ones too. I don't know what to make of Dylan Brooks. But he's made enough good choices to, I think, he might actually be good at this. If he trades Alperen Sengun, he will burn all of the confidence he has built down, because that would be fucking stupid. Don't do it. Please, God. Keep pushing the calendar back. Run it back. See what you've got. I promise you're going to like what you see. And Rockets fans, if you're one of the people that's trade Alperen Sengun, shut the fuck up. You're making us look stupid. You're making our fan base look ignorant. Cut it out. You don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'll admit it, this is not one of those times. I've watched enough professional basketball in my life. I've watched enough Alperen Sengun over the last few seasons to know that letting him go would be dumb. Don't do it. Stick with what we've got. It's going well. Don't get impatient. Don't freak out. Don't do anything crazy like trade for Kevin Durant. What are you, high? Come on. Pull it together. Got to keep Sengun. Got to keep Jalen Green. Got to keep developing the young core. We've got a plethora of young guys that have shown serious NBA talent with continuously rising ceilings. We are in a great spot as Rockets fans. It's going to be a very fun season. We have our head coach. We might have our GM. We are doing it. Chill, Daddy. Let it come. When it does, it's coming. And when it does, and if it does, I will issue a long an emotional apology to Rafael Stone for doubting him. Unless he trades Alperen Şengün, in which case I will flip the fuck out and protest outside of the Toyota Center. That will do it for today's show. Remember, every episode of Banging the Can is available on all the podcast platforms, of course, but also in full video on youtube.com/@bangingthecan. If you're there right now, if you're watching and seeing me wave my finger around, click the subscribe button, click the like button, turn on notifications so you get one every time we drop a new video, and leave a comment below, please. And thank you. On that note, please share the most unapologetic Houston sports show in existence with your friends and family. Follow us on social media @BangingTheCan on TikTok, on Instagram, on X, formerly known as Twitter, @BangingTheCan. Support our sponsors when you hear them, when you see them. Go to the details of the description of this episode and see the URLs with the codes. Use them, click them, do them. That's how the show continues to exist. If you're like, where's Ross? Why hasn't there been a show in 2 weeks? Sometimes it's because I've got nothing new to talk about. Sometimes it's because I have a violent case of poison ivy, as has been the situation the past couple weeks. Don't ask. Don't ask. Sometimes it's because we don't have any sponsors. Use the URLs and the codes, and we will have more sponsors, and we will get more episodes, and that's how this business works. Do it. If you're watching House of the Dragon, I have another podcast. It's called Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. It's on YouTube. It's on the podcast platforms. We break down and discuss and make jokes about and enjoy every single episode together every single week. Oysters, Clams, and Cockles if you are watching House of the Dragon. If you are an F1 fan, Bolen Media also has an F1 show. It's called Formula Bone. It's on YouTube. Formula Bone is also on the Apple Podcasts and the Spotifys and the whatnot. Mainly on YouTube, though. That's its home base, youtube.com/@formulabone with a B, hosted by Jared J. Bone Borislow. It is the finest American-made F1 content in existence, and if you love F1, you will love Formula Bone. Go check that out as well. And of course, the Ross Bolen podcast is my personal comedy /life/ everything that's not Game of Thrones, television, or sports-related podcast, I guess. Mental health sometimes, too. Yeah, Bolen Media. Go to bolenmedia.com if you want to see kind of the full company, pitch or whatever. I'm Ross Bolen. You can follow me on X and Instagram @WRBOLEN, @WRBolen. I'll be back next week because I believe we've got more sponsors next week. I can double check just to, yeah, I'll be back next week. Next week, we'll check back in. We'll see where we're at. In the meantime, first of all, apologize. And until next time, H-Town, stay down.